person. You're terrified, you feel so ashamed, you can't look people in the eyes, and that's the way I was. And we had to get through all of that. At one point he said to me, Margaret, you'd think you were an axe murderer for all the guilt you carry. Why can't you forgive yourself for your little mistakes you made in your youthful folly and your anger and your fury at being trapped and imprisoned in a life that you didn't belong in? Why can't you accept yourself as you are and forgive yourself? So forgiving yourself was the first big step you have to do for the mistakes you've made, and then you have to be generous enough to forgive all the others who have hurt you because they didn't understand. They just did not know, and they didn't mean it, and you don't take it personally anymore. You think, oh, if only I had been able to get the help then that I got now, everything would have been so different. But I didn't, and the reality is that I was ahead of my times in terms of getting help. Now there is help. It wasn't until 1985 that Prozac came on the market, and the antidepressants that replaces the serotonin that's missing in your brain, and the cause why you stay in depression for so long, why you can't get out of depression, because you get serotonin from running, jumping, laughing, dancing, singing, having healthy sex. Who does that when you're depressed? I mean, even the thought of it, and you don't eat well, you don't sleep, you sleep way too much, you're not functioning well. So you don't get the serotonin back in your brain. So when in 1985 serotonin came on the market and the uptake to give it back, that was the biggest breakthrough for people suffering bipolar or depression. And 1 out of 5 Canadians, by the way, will be depressed in their lifetime. I think that statistic underestimates it completely.
You write a lot in the book, and I think this hits home to a lot of people about your attempts to self-medicate. And I use that term in its most liberal, you thought that throwing yourself into work would do it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, I think work will fix it.
A distraction and escape. A lot of people use alcohol. Alcohol wasn't my deal. I love marijuana.
Yeah, tell them about marijuana.
Oh, what a great drug.
Have you ever heard of marijuana? Has anybody here inhaled?
It was the 60s. I remember my boyfriend coming to me at the university in the cafeteria in the morning and saying hi, and he said, Margaret, instead of saying hi, he said, Margaret, strawberry fields forever.
What?
He said, oh, our friend from UBC had brought over last night to their house some marijuana. Oh, you've got to try it. I said, but it's illegal. We were only going to smoke it way up north near Prince George. Oh, I took to it like a duck to water. It probably did give me something that was missing in me, but it wasn't the right thing, because it does make me feel very good. Did make me feel very good. And I had to learn that whether it's marijuana or alcohol or shopping or workaholic or anything that you're using as with abusing to make you feel better, to give you, Pierre would say when I would pick up a glass of wine and lump it down, he'd say, cup of courage, Margaret? Because he didn't drink, and he would see that I was trying to get myself so that I could go out and do the things that I had to do. Alcohol was never really the problem with me, but anything could have been the problem with me at that time, because I wanted to fill the hole that was in me all by myself, and I didn't realize that what I really needed was just a little pill that would give my brain the right balance of chemicals so that I could function with a clear mind and a clear view of life. So I always say I'd rather be a pothead than an alcoholic, but why do I have to be either?
Before we go to how you live today, just tell them you weren't a big fan of AA meetings, though. They did.
Well, I was made to go to AA. I thought the 12-step. My doctor wanted me to go to AA, not because I had an alcohol problem. For the marijuana problem, he didn't want me to go to NA, Narcotics Anonymous, because he said, Margaret, and he was absolutely right, because I did go to a couple of those meetings. There's bad boys there with drugs in their pockets and looking for a pretty girl. And I went, oh yes, there certainly is. And that, so it was too tempting to go to NA, and they had candles on the table, and it was all, kind of a bit la-la, although again, the 12 steps. What was important, my doctor thought, was the 12 steps, particularly the one of forgiveness, of making amends, of understanding that you weren't alone. But I found that because I just called AA, and they told me, I gave them my address, which is a rather Tony part of Ottawa, and the closest AA was the one where, in the worst, Ottawa doesn't really have a worse part, but in a poor part of Ottawa, close to us in Vanier, where a lot of homeless men and women were. And what I saw there was that there was just what I call woundology. Every meeting, these poor people would, I don't mean poor in the sense of not having money, but just sad people, would be patting themselves on the back by talking about how horrible they were when they were alcoholics. And now that they're no longer drinking, how much better it is. And I'd be looking at them and I said, but is it really? Because what I saw again and again was evidence of severe mental illness. And yet the comfort of AA and the kind of religious connotation of AA, it's a very Christian organization. That's how it started with Dr. Bill in his Blue Book in the late 30s. And it is a very good organization. But they think that I felt that there should be a little team of psychiatrists on the side to also help these people, that it wasn't, the disease actually isn't alcohol. In many cases, alcohol was the symptom of the disease, which was a mental illness. So, and we see that with the homeless people too. I did elevate myself to professionals, lawyers, doctors, people more like from my educational and socioeconomic background. And in those meetings, I did find great help, because it was feeling not alone and understanding that we were all struggling with our own demons, and together we could do it so much more. And me, as quite a literate person, and I do read voraciously, and I found the cliches and the hand-holding and always repeating the same thing every time there, but for the grace of God, go up, blah, 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 blah. I just found that ritualistic and a bit of brainwashing, not actually answering the individual needs, but making it a cult. Not cult. I'd never say AA was a cult. But I do believe that AA would be well served with a new Blue Book that is today's Blue Book, instead of still living by the Dr. Bill from 1938, whatever. And they are updating it as well. I think it's a very good organization. I equally think the Canadian Mental Health Association is a very good organization. The Society for Bereaved Parents, anything that you can get into congregation with other people, like people who are suffering in the same way as you are, whether it's trying to give up alcohol, trying to give up drugs, trying to give up gambling, trying to give up a sex addiction, whatever. You can't do it alone. It's not a battle you can do alone. So it provides, all of those organizations provide you with a community that can help you, a community that can support you, and you basically understand. Mental illness isolates you so much. You feel so alone. You push everyone away, and you are pushed away. Your family finally gets just tired of you. Well, why not? Who wouldn't be? And everyone is tired of you. And so you end up backing off, and then you find yourself in a dark cave with no friends, no work, no family, and you're alone. And that's the point you have to say, this is not enough. I need help. I cannot do this alone. We can't battle alone. We're not meant to battle alone. That's why we have hearts. That's why we love each other. That's why we have compassion. And we want to all help alleviate others' suffering. We are good people, Canadians. I see it in every room I go to. I see it, and I see everyone tells me that, my mother, my sister, my brother, they all have a story of somebody in their family, in their inner circle, who is suffering a mental illness. And the people who want to help don't know how, don't know where to begin. Of course, the person is in such denial, they don't want help. But how do you get them help? How do you do it? And that's what my book tries to address, is not only how it feels to be the person who is suffering from a mental illness, but how the family feels, how the sisters feel, how the husband feels, and what you can do. And the main thing you have to understand is that you can't fix the person.